used it recently. And so this is really him going after it. And the other threat in that speech, which was not obvious, but I think is even more important, is Trump talked about the taking of the Pueblo from international water in 1968 and the shooting down of the EC-121 a year later, killing 31 Americans, the biggest single loss of life during the Cold War at the hands of a Cold War adversary. And what Trump was saying is, do not kill any Americans. That was the threat in the speech.
So, David, you had two layers of test here. One was this geopolitical challenge of how he deals with the North, how he rallies allies to this cause. The second was, how does he perform as the president, which is an acute test for this particular president. How did he do?
Well, on that latter point, I've been impressed in the last day or so that President Trump has seemed more presidential and has been much more careful and scripted while in Asia, sticking to, multifacets of a strategy all at once. He's tried not to be too provocative in his language. He's been more measured. He's keeping some room open for diplomacy, even in a hardline speech like last night, talking in terms of an off-ramp for the Kim regime to find. And at the same time, I thought it was important that he's trying not just to say to a primetime audience in America, look, this is what the peril is, this is what the history is, and this is how we're framing this. As uncomfortable as I am with going toe-to-toe with an unstable North Korean dictator and making it this kind of mano-a-mano contest, he's trying to rally the South Koreans behind him so the North doesn't see any daylight between the United States and South Korea, Japan, and making a case to China as well, that we all have to work together to stop this because none of us come out well, especially if the North does something particularly stupid, which is to particularly, specifically provoke the United States by launching a missile into our territory. Nobody wants what would come from any of that, and that tees up what the president is doing in China. And finally saying, if anything's going to change about this relationship over the past 25 years, it's China takes a harder line in stopping North Korea.
But so, Gordon, back to my question, which is, has this been effective? What do you think the upshot of this trip is in the president's language on this trip?
I think the trip has been effective because basically you have in the Tokyo portion and in the Seoul portion, the United States standing very close to allies. The Japan portion was baked in because Shinzo Abe, the Japanese prime minister, very close to the United States. In South Korea, that's not the case. Moon Jae-in, the new president there, is more pro-China, more pro-North Korea than any other South Korean president. And so this was a very difficult time for Trump. But to arrange that photo op of both Trump and President Moon going to the DMZ to stand together, which was defeated by Mother Nature, but nonetheless, the North Koreans,
Marine One couldn't get there because of fog.
Because of fog,
a metaphor. But if they had to turn around. But you're saying that just the idea that they had agreed to this photo op, you saw as progress?
Yeah, it's progress because it says to the Chinese, that the United States and South Korea are standing together. There was, before this, President Moon giving China some secret assurances about ballistic missile defense, which was basically China trying to divide South Korea from the United States. And so all these images of stability of the alliance were very important for Trump to arrange because it says to China, look, you can't cut us off from South Korea. And that is going to make Trump's discussions in Beijing a lot easier because the Chinese are going to see that South Korea and the U.S. are standing together.
All right, so let's test that idea a little bit, David. It's one thing to talk tough about North Korea. The president couldn't have more moral authority when talking about North Korea. It's laughable, absurd for them to try to compare rights in the United States with North Korea. They're literally antithetical of one another. But China is a very different measure. This isn't going to be a who's better talk. It's going to be about how he can appeal to China's own instincts and their own interests. How big a challenge is this? What are the leverage?
Well, the Chinese have historically been afraid of a failed North Korean regime because of refugees, right? They don't want all those North Koreans coming into China. They like things the way they are if they can kind of keep this tempest in the bottle. And that's what I think some of the argument is here. The president may say, as he did last night, that we want a denuclearized Korean peninsula. But if the North would simply stop testing, would put a freeze on testing, I imagine they could work something out. And I wonder how China helps along that line.
All right, Gordon Chang, David Gregory, thank you both very much for all the perspective.
Thank you.
All right, so the Texas Church Massacre, certainly very much in focus. We're learning more about this killer, and it's important. This isn't just about his biography, far from it. What is the truth about whether or not he was in a mental health facility 5 years ago? Under what conditions was he there? Did he escape? And if he did, what was the system supposed to do? A live report, new information, next.
This is an apple. You can look at it from the left, you can look at it from the right. But it doesn't change the fact that this is an apple.
Prudential asked these couples, how much money do you think you'll need in retirement? Then we found out how many years that money would last them.
How long do you think we'll keep?
You're gonna leave me back here at year 9? How did this happen?
It turned out a lot of people fell short of even the average length of retirement.
We have to think about not when we expect to live to, but when we could live to.
Let's plan for income that lasts all our years in retirement.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
QuickBooks introduces Jeanette and her new mobile wedding business. At first, getting paid was tough until she got QuickBooks. Now she sends invoices, sees when they've been viewed, and ta-da! Paid twice as fast for free. Visit QuickBooks.com.
What's in it for you? The Republican tax cut saves middle-class families more than $1,200 a year, according to independent analysis. The first $24,000 of your income would be tax-free. Tax relief will create American jobs and help small businesses grow. It will simplify your taxes and close loopholes so everybody pays their fair share. More money in your pocket, a stronger economy. That's what's in it for you. Tell Congress to cut taxes now.
Now you can have everything. The 2017 Mitsubishi Outlander with standard third-row seating, one of America's safest crossovers, well equipped for under $24,000. Get $3,000 cash back and make no payments for 90 days or 0% for 84 months.
Hiring was always